Hey, everybody, welcome back to Homestead HQ, where we talk about homesteading and preparedness. This is Shelly, and
I'm Jason. Guys, it's glad to have y'all back. We're going to get right into it. We've got a good episode today. The topic is what does SHTF really look like? And before we jump into it, I want to thank our first sponsor, which is VacMaster. You can go to their website, vacmasterfresh.com. They make amazing commercial chamber sealers for home use or commercial use. They've also got a whole line of butchering knives and kitchen knives. Use the code Homestead and you'll get 15% off your order. I use their stuff almost every day, and you can save quite a bit of money by doing that. And I think, yeah, it's going to end in the next couple of days. They've got free stainless steel tables on certain models if you order chamber sealers.
I
So
think that's till the end of August that's happening.
yeah, and they're always running a special. I don't know what the September stuff is. I have not got it yet, but it'll probably be something pretty good. But going in, Shelly, have you got everything? Is the fence? When's the guy coming for the fence? Or has he already put you off like all the contractors do?
I am so frustrated. Okay, so Randy and I went down last weekend, and there's a
After you
section.
ran out of the comms class to do this.
Yeah, I ran. I only spent half a day at the comms class, but I heard that it was a pretty awesome class. There was a lot of people posting about it on Facebook, telling that they really enjoyed it. So I'm glad that they had a good time. But so I came home, and in the back of our pasture, there's some trees that come out. Um, I don't know, maybe 50 feet. There's like a line of trees in the middle of the back of our pasture, kind of like if Florida were a little crop of trees, it would look like Florida. So, anyways, we wanted to cut out the back part of those trees so our fence could go straight through there instead of coming out and going around that tree section. So Randy and I and Crystal went down there, and it really only took us about an hour and a half to clear out those trees. But then we saw another big cedar tree that looked like it was dead, and we decided to go ahead and take that down too because we didn't want to put a fence back there and then a storm come through and take out our fence down at the bottom of the field. So we went ahead and did that. So altogether, I think it took us probably about 3 hours to get all of that done, which wasn't bad. And then I texted, I think it was the day before, maybe Friday or something like that. I texted the fence guy and I said, "Hey, you told me it was going to be about 3 weeks. That was 2 weeks ago. And you said that you were going to give me about a week's notice for us to call 811 and get them out here to show where everything's located." And I said, I just wanted to make sure about the timeline and find out if I needed to call them. And he messaged me back and he said, "Well, I'm about 3 weeks behind." And he said, "I'm hoping that the weather next week is great so I can get, some things caught up." But he said, "I will call you and let you know when we're ready to go." And I was like, ugh, damn. I was so frustrated. So, yeah, I mean, I might have a fence by Christmas. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. But
You can put
yeah.
Christmas lights on it then.
Yeah, I can put, hang that those what is it? Those evergreen wreaths all along it and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. See, you didn't have to leave the comms class early. You could have stayed and learned something.
You're absolutely right.
So the comms class did go good, and I forgot Chip, the guy that owns the place we were having it at. Chip came out. He goes, "Are y'all gonna be done at like 4?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "We've got a baby shower coming in here at 4, and this is three
Oh
four.
no.
Yeah, this is 3:45." I'm like, "Crap!" And he's like, "Jill told you." Jill's his wife. He's like, "Jill told you." I was like, "I don't remember that." He's like, "Yeah, she told you." And I was like, "Well, hell, I forgot." So we took everything out on the back patio so they could, when we got everything cleaned up, took everything out on the back patio, finished the class. And everybody was still hanging around, and these people were showing up for the baby shower. I was like, we got to get out of here. So we ended up scooting out and right when the people were coming in for the baby shower, but
That's
everything was
funny.
fine. Oh, yeah. I mean, we were, I
Well,
didn't
and it
get,
wasn't a big mess. I mean, there wasn't like a lot of stuff everywhere, so I'm sure it was pretty easy to clean up.
Oh no, I mean it took maybe 10 minutes. The,
Yeah.
the biggest part was just moving the tables and grabbing the radio gear and taking it outside. So,
Yeah.
but no, everybody had a good time. They liked it. We actually ran. Brian took some of the guys in his truck, and we had a base station set up there at the shop, and they ran back and forth. And they got close just on the handheld, like valve things. They were getting right around 4 to 5 miles of range off those
Wow,
things.
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I was really surprised with it, and the guys were like, "This is pretty stinking cool." So after that, Saturday I was wiped out. I came home just relaxed. Or no, actually, my brother's like, "You want to go eat?" And because my brother came to the class, and I was like, "Yeah." So we ended up all of us going out and eating. And then I was like, "I'm dead." I was like, "I'm going home, going to sleep." So and then we didn't. I didn't feel super good on Sunday, so I didn't do a whole lot. And then yesterday, yeah, it was yesterday. We started a new job. We're doing a man cave. I'm not big on that term, but we're doing a man cave in a guy's shop for him. And I spent all day. I spent about 8 or 9 hours. The guy tore down an old barn and saved all the barn metal and all the barn wood. And he had it in one of his sheds, but the shed is only open on one side. There was no airflow in there whatsoever. Yesterday it was like 96 degrees or something. So I'm in this metal box with no air, moving barnwood and pulling nails out all day
Ugh.
long, and then going and stacking it on the trailer. I probably drank 2 gallons of water yesterday doing that, and still did not have to go to the bathroom. I was like, that's how much I'm sweating and how much I'm going through water. So I was drained when I got home, and then it's like, okay, at 5:30 we got a baseball game. So that's so I was like, okay, I hit two big liquid IVs and hit those, and I was like, okay, I feel a little bit better. So then we set out for 2.5 hours at a baseball game in the blazing sun. I'm like, I'm done. I came home, took a cold shower, and I was like, I'm going to bed. So, and then today I did a few other things. I didn't go pull nails in barnwood. I did some other stuff, and then Thursday and Friday we're gonna start putting the metal up on the ceiling. So, and it's supposed to be, I think 90, 96, 97 the rest of the week, something like that. I'm like, I'm not looking forward to this crap.
Yeah, it's supposed to be really hot this week, but
Yeah,
hopefully in the next couple of weeks it'll take a turn and we'll get cooled off.
I'm actually ready for hoodie weather. Is what I'm ready for.
Me too.
That or at least long sleeve t-shirt weather. I'll take it all day. So, running in, our news is brought to you by Signature Solar. Signature Solar is one of our main sponsors for the festival. We're really appreciative with them. I actually had a meeting with those guys today, and we were talking about all the equipment they're going to bring up, stuff like that. They're gonna be there all weekend to answer questions for you at the festival, show you, go through, and you can say, hey, I want X, Y, and Z system. They can talk to you about the system. You can actually purchase it right there. They're going to have a coupon code just for the festival, so you can save some money at the festival. But you can also use our affiliate link. And actually, if you use the code Homestead, I think it's going to save you $50 off a $500 or more order. So I
Wow,
talked, I
that's pretty
talked,
good.
yeah, I talked to them. So use the code Homestead. You should save a little bit of money on that. And then also, we're going to have a coupon code for the festival too, and those guys will be there. So, Shelly,
Looking forward to that.
yes. What kind of news have you got?
So, did you know that in Philadelphia, it says hundreds of Philadelphia streets in the 15th. Okay, let me start over again. Hundreds cruise Philadelphia streets in the 15th annual Philly Naked Bike Ride. People be riding bikes naked in Philadelphia.
That doesn't sound comfortable.
I know. I know. That's yeah. I mean, have you seen a bike seat?
Yeah.
I just
Well,
It says that hundreds of people in various states of undress cruised the streets of Philadelphia to cheers from onlookers Saturday evening in the 15th annual Philly Naked Bike Ride. It says it was started in 2009. It's billed as promoting cycling as a key form of transportation and fuel conscious consumption. It is also meant to encourage body positivity. Organizers stress, however, that participants aren't required to ride completely in the buff, telling them to get as bare as they dare. It says they also point to a code of conduct that bars any kind of physical or sexual harassment, and they can use all forms of transportation, such as rollerblades or skates, skateboards, and scooters. But I guess they want it like human powered or something, not like cars.
There's so many rabbit holes you could go down on that.
I know. I'm just like, I mean, I wouldn't even want to see this, but it says the ride is normally held in September, but the temperatures are around 70 degrees. It said that the naked riders last year got chilly, so they've moved it to August, or they moved it to August several years ago because September was too cold. And in 2020, they suspended it because of the pandemic.
Well, first, how do you ride your bike naked and not get arrested for indecent exposure?
See, I don't know. It said that a bunch of people were showing up to get like painted body paint, which so when I think I want to say it was 2010, the first time Rainey and I went on a cruise, and we cruised out of New Orleans. I'm gonna tell you right now, I have no desire to. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of New Orleans, but we went down to the whatever that district is, where Bourbon Street and all that kind of stuff.
Bourbon Street's great.
It was closed off to cars and all that kind of thing. It was on a Friday night, and there were people down there stark naked with just body paint on. Oh, yeah. I mean, walking around everywhere. And I don't know. I was like, what are we doing here? What is happening? So I guess that's what this is. They just paint themselves up with body paint and run around naked. But I don't think they have to. I don't think they have to do it. Yeah, they can just go out and be naked and do their stuff. It's a 12-mile route, dude. 12 miles of nakedness. Wow. Okay. So my other news article, it says a child was reported missing. A TV news helicopter crew spotted him on the roof playing hooky. So this happened in New York. It says a TV news helicopter crew spotted a boy who had been reported missing, but who was actually up on the roof of his New York City apartment building playing hooky. It says the 9-year-old boy left his Brooklyn apartment around 7 a.m. Thursday, but did not show up at school. The boy's parents called the police, who put out a description of the missing child, including the orange tie he was wearing. CBS station sent a helicopter to the scene, and reporter Dan Rice spotted the boy on the rooftop of his family's building. It says, as my pilot Eric and I were circling around the building, we came across a person sitting in a chair over here on the rooftop. We zoomed in with the camera. It appeared to be the child that fit the description of the missing child. Station employees called the police, and the helicopter crew hovered overhead until they arrived. He just packs up his computer and his books and bags and stuff and leaves with the officers. They looked back at the helicopter and gave us a big thumbs up and took the child downstairs to his parents. They said a neighbor said he had been on the roof drinking coffee and had seen the boy playing with his iPad, but thought nothing of it. The first day of school for New York City schools is September 5th, but this particular kid goes to a Success Academy charter school, and they wear orange ties, and they started on August 12th.
I bet he got his butt worn out when he got in.
I can't imagine kids sitting up there playing on his iPad, and he looks up and there's a helicopter.
Yeah.
He's probably like, great.
Yeah. I'm getting swatted.
That's hilarious. I thought that poor kid. And as a parent, oh my God, I'd have been infuriated. I'd have wore him out.
Oh, man.
I'd have been terrified.
Yeah, he got his butt beat when he got home, probably.
Like, what are the chances,
That is pretty funny, though.
I thought it was cute.
Yeah, but that is no joke. I I thought we lost my oldest when I went to pick him up from a football camp, and he was not there, and there was a misunderstanding of who was picking him up, and I'm running around crazy trying to find my oldest son. I'm like, what in the world is going on? I mean, he was only eight or nine at the time. Yeah, and I'm just freaking out. So yeah, with that, I'm glad they found the kid and he was just playing hooky and nothing else had happened.
Exactly.
That is funny getting ratted out by the TV station.
I mean, those guys in the helicopter, they were probably like, wait a minute. Is that the kid?
What's this kid doing up here? Well, that's funny. Well, let's jump into our main topic. Something that we've been talking about, and a lot of people talk about this. What does SHTF shit hit the fan really look like? I always get it. I'm just like, let's just say it out. Let's just don't abbreviate it. So what does that really look like? I mean, there's thousands of different scenarios that you can go into on what it would look like, what you would do, what do I need, and all that kind of stuff.
Can I just say something real quick? So if y'all haven't figured this out, Jason comes from more of a prepper background, me not so much. When I hear people say SHTF or, say the abbreviation or even say, shit hits the fan, I immediately go to conspiracy theory, prepper, that kind of stuff, tinfoil hat wearing, whatever. But you're going to see this. I mean, the list that we're going to go through, it's not what you think it is. It's not tinfoil hat wearing stuff. Most of the things on this list we've been through in the last 10 years, right?
Yeah. And realistically, it's all objective too. Mm-hmm. What classifies that in your opinion? It might be, I don't know. It could be something simple that just affects you. Could be your moment, or it could be nuclear holocaust, which it affects everybody. So it's all objective. And also with it too, I kind of put in the timelines on some of this, whether it's just a short duration, whether it's a midterm duration or a long-term duration or a lifetime, duration. You're talking, a nuclear, warheads on foreheads kind of thing, nuclear exchange. That's a lifelong term situation that you're going to have to deal with. It's not going to be over in 2 or 3 days.
Right.
So the first one that I've got on our list, natural disasters, stuff like earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, wildfires. That is immediate destruction of infrastructure, houses, municipality, stuff like that, your infrastructure. And what you've got, some of the stuff that you're going to have to deal with are power outages, water contamination, limited access to food, water, and medical stuff. Mm-hmm. So, if you're looking, we haven't had any major earthquakes here in Kentucky or do one, honestly. So, you can kind of look, if you've got a major earthquake, it can cause major infrastructure damages, water lines, power lines, gas lines that are severed. So your infrastructure is not there anymore. Buildings can come down. Same thing with tornadoes and floods. They can wipe the stuff out. So you're looking at an interruption of services and utilities, which you can be prepared for a lot of that. And we've gone over a lot of the ways to be prepared for that. And I kind of ranked it as a short to mid-range event, something that can last, several days up into months, possibly maybe a year, but it's more of a short to mid-term range of stuff.
What do you think about that tornado that went through Mayfield that came up through Bowling Green? So that was December 11th. Was that 21 or 22? Was it 22, I think?
I think it's 22.
So that tornado came up. You can still see evidence of that tornado in Bowling Green over there on the bypass. There's still buildings that were leveled and stuff. And then, it came up through Cave City. What happened in Cave City was fixed pretty quickly. Within a couple days, we had power back on. But then where the tornado, actually not where it started, but where it hit Mayfield, or Maysville, is
No, it's
Mayfield,
Mayfield. Yeah,
Mayfield.
Mayfield.
It leveled that whole town. I mean, there. So here it was not a very big disruption. In Bowling Green, it was probably a mid-level disruption. In Mayfield, it was devastation everywhere.
Yeah.
So, it kind of all depends on that kind of thing too.
Yeah. And like the bypass, it came through on the bypass in
Mm-hmm.
Bowling Green. I think the bypass was shut down a week, something like that. But
Yep.
after about a week, and I'm talking more service, disruptions, your water, your sewer, stuff like that. Granted, there's still buildings that they haven't rebuilt. So I mean that's a long-term deal. But as far as back to normal, electricity, water, that kind of stuff, that's kind of a short to mid-range item there. So, what have you got now, Shelley?
So the next thing on the list is economic collapse. So examples of that would be hyperinflation. Hello. Stock market crashes, currency devaluation, widespread unemployment. Yeah. Rapid inflation can make everyday items unaffordable. Bank closures and loss of savings can lead to a panic. Unemployment may rise sharply, leading to poverty and homelessness. All of those things. I can think, what was it, 2008, when everything just fell out. I mean, the stock market went way down. I'm not going to say it crashed. It wasn't like back in the 1920s, but there was a lot of stuff that happened. We had the government bailed out all those banks and all that kind of stuff. But these are all, just about everything on our list are things that have happened within our lifetime. It's not tinfoil hat stuff, Economic collapse could happen at any time.
Yeah, and 2008 was not fun being a contractor. I
I
mean,
bet.
there was very little stuff going on. I mean, every job you could find, you were scraping by to get that job. I mean, people were underbidding people all the time just to get it, just to have some work to do. And right now, I mean, I feel like we're kind of living in a slow burn economic collapse. I mean, we're going down the hill right now. We don't have hyperinflation, but we've got a heck of a lot of inflation going on right now. Look,
It's crazy.
yeah, I mean, look at your grocery bill. I mean, you used to be able to get a whole cart of groceries for, $150, and now a whole cart of groceries is going to be freaking $500. So, I mean,
Well, that when I left the radio class, I had to run by Aldi before I went home. And seriously, and Aldi is not, for those of you who aren't familiar with Aldi, it's not an expensive store. It's not like super high prices, like what you see at Walmart and Kroger and stuff like that. But I had maybe a fifth of the bottom of my cart, with stuff in it. I didn't get a whole bunch of groceries, and my grocery bill came to like almost $100.
yeah.
Like, I mean, seriously, it was the bottom part of my cart. I didn't have tons of food in there. It was $100.
Yeah. Oh, talking about Aldi and stuff like that. We got priceless IGA here,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got the price, and then they add 10% onto it.
I've seen people have been posting their receipts and how they have like this extra percentage charge on there and then tax on top of that.
Yeah, but
what is that about?
That's the way it's always been. Priceless IGA, their business model is they charge you the cost of the good plus 10%, and the 10% is their profit for it. And in Kentucky, you don't pay tax on food as long as it's not prepared. Like you can go in and buy a chicken, and if it's $3.99 for this chicken, you pay $3.99 and no sales tax. But if it's a prepared, like a rotisserie chicken, then you will pay tax on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's prepared. But the funny part, what I was getting at, like somebody posted on Facebook the other night, it's like, I can't believe that I had to pay the 10% was more than the sales tax on this at IGA. And I'm like, how stupid
They don't
are
understand how the law works around here, do they?
you? And I'm like, I wanted to just light them up on fire. I'm like, how do you not understand that 10% is always going to be more than 6%? I'm like, it's math. I'm like, how stupid do you have to be? But that's where we're living in now. They don't know if 10 is more than 6.
Right.
So
That's funny.
I'm just like, whatever. So the economic collapse, I put it as more of a medium to a long term. So it's probably not going to be a short term thing. And like I
Yeah.
said,
It takes
we're
a while to
living,
recover from that.
yeah. I mean, I don't know how many years as far as the Great Depression before we got pulled out of that and everything.
It took
I
a
mean,
war.
yeah. I mean, that's going to be years long stuff. So civil, I got the next on our list, civil unrest and riots. Stuff like political instability, racial or ethnic tension, protests turning semi-peaceful. So no bricks involved, or martial law. And it's funny how bricks just appear sometimes, like pallets of bricks. I don't know. They must be doing masonry work all the time around these places.
Or everybody who's like staging protests all have the exact same tents to camp out on the college campuses. Yeah, how does that happen? They all went shopping at the same camping place.
Yeah, but it's funny. When I order bricks and block for a job, I order sand and cement with it too. Nobody's throwing bags of cement and handfuls of sand. It's always just bricks. I'm like, how in the hell are they laying these things? So, so you got to ask questions. So, but I mean, you're looking. This could go in widespread protests that escalate into violent stuff. I mean, we've seen that, and stuff that's going to affect areas of the city will be unsafe. Just like what was it? Chaz, the occupied country or whatever of Chaz. That stupid.
What was that? Washington State or something up around Portland, Oregon, or something like that up there.
Yeah, I don't know. They're all screwballs up there anyway. So then you're looking. I mean, what that's going to affect? Businesses closing and shutting down. They're going to get looted, burned down, all that stuff. Your police and public services aren't going to want to go in there.
Right.
They're going to be like, no, it's too dangerous for us to send the paramedics in there.
Yeah.
Can you blame them? Yeah, the police are going to be like, screw this, I don't care. Y'all made your bed, lie in it.
Right.
And then trust in the government's going to erode, which I could see that. I mean, they're going to shut a whole part of the city down. Nobody's going to want to go in there, and they're just going to burn it to the ground. And we've seen prime examples of that happen all over. I mean, when they got the Antifa riots and, all the mouth breathers and all that kind of crap going on, it's just stupid stuff. That, to me, you're looking kind of a short to midterm, but it could, depending on the escalation of it, that could be a long-term event before things settle back down. It just depends.
Well, they can definitely cause some long-term damage, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't know what most of those Democrat-run cities are crap holes anyway. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's not like they're thriving economic palaces or anything.
Right.
So, but that could, I kind of put that down short to midterm. Depending on how it escalates, it could go into a longer-term situation.
All right. Next on our list is pandemic outbreak. Do we really have to recap? I mean, if you were running around in 2020, you know what's going on. But so it's rapid spread of illnesses causing high rates of infection and death. Healthcare systems become overwhelmed, and there's a shortage of medical supplies, hospital beds, healthcare workers. There's quarantines, travel restrictions, social distancing, and all of that stuff. And really, I mean, okay, I'm just going to jump out on a limb here. I feel like the last time that this happened, it was all a big social experiment. And that's me. I'm allowed to have my opinion. I think that they wanted to see exactly how we would react to all of that. And they saw, I don't know. I kind of feel like if something like that happened again, it would have to be way more severe in order for the, for us to be able to be controlled, I guess. So, um, there's really no, like, if you're talking about the duration of this, it depends on the severity of the outbreak, right? As
Yeah.
to how long it's going to last, how quickly it'll be over. I mean, like I said, I think it's going to take a lot to get a majority of Americans to put a mask back on, or to, what was it called? Stay, what did Bashir called it? Something in place.
I'm gay and in place. Who is
No.
Bashir?
Um, I can't think of what it is, but where you stay in your house, you just
Lockdown.
lockdown, whatever you want to call it. But it's going to take a lot for that to happen again before, Americans will allow themselves to be put in that situation again. I mean, you're still going to have your people out there that'll do it, whatever they're told.
Yeah.
But by and large,
turn your green lights on your porch for Kentucky. That kind of crap.
You know what really sucked about that, and I'm not a Bashir fan, but what really sucked about that was at the beginning of it, I thought he was doing a good job. I really did. I mean, he was coming on and talking every day and being shelter in place. That's what it's called. The phrase I was trying to think of. But he was coming on there and he was like 15 days to level the curve. Remember that?
Well,
and I'm like, okay, we don't know how this thing's going to turn out. We don't know how bad it's going to be. I can do 15 days to, flatten the curve, whatever you want to say. But when they started going around, when he started sending KSP around to churches to write down license plate numbers on Easter Sunday, I was done. And that wasn't, I mean, we were maybe 2 weeks into it by then. And I was like, oh, I don't think so. No. I mean, that was what did it for me. I was like giving him kudos for being a good leader and trying to keep everybody safe. But when that happened, I was like, no, we're not playing this game. But
and when I'm looking at a pandemic, what we just lived through, I agree, was a social experiment. When I think of a pandemic, I'm thinking an actual, like, whatever these movies, Outbreak or whatever, where they got this sick monkey and everybody's running around in
the Walking Dead.
Yeah, the yellow suits. Something that's actually like really a pandemic is a disease or a contagion that spreads fast and causes a huge amount of deaths. The amount of the percentage of the death rate on what we just lived through was, I mean, it didn't even really register. I mean, if it was really something, there should have been a huge amount of the population dead, but they're probably going to be dead sooner or later because of what they were doing afterwards, but we won't get into that. But it's something that is really going to cause a strain on the healthcare system, and people are actually going to be falling down dead. And it's not something that a cotton mask is going to do. A real pandemic, you're going to have to go out in full yellow suits. Your little cotton mask is not going to help you. You're going to need, not even an N95, the 100% filtration. You're going to have to decontaminate every time that you go out, stuff like that. And realistically, the only way to not come in contact with this is to actually stay on your property. So that's where it comes into being prepared. Can you actually shelter in place at your property and not leave for 3 to 6 months? Yeah. That's the only way that you're really going to survive that, and you're not going to be able to have people coming over if it's a real life contaminant that's going on.
Yeah.
So, and that it was funny. Saturday night after we went and ate, Lincoln he's like, I need to go to Best Buy. And we're right over by Best Buy. And I'm like, okay. So we went to Best Buy, and I giggled. They've still got the stupid little round stickers out front that says social distance. And I'm like, man, why hadn't somebody come and scrape those things up yet? But then you walk in Best Buy, and like 4 or 5 of the people had masks on. And I'm like, what the hell are these people still doing this stuff? Yeah. So, but that could be that's going to be kind of a mid to long term, in my opinion, because it's going to take a while. If it's a real contagion, it's going to take a hot minute for that thing to spread, and it's going to take a good while for it to actually burn through the population. And who lives is who's immune to it, and who dies, that's what they died of. So it's going to take a minute for it to go through, and then you're going to have lasting effects after that of people that died. There's a bunch of knowledge. If certain people die, we've lost a lot of knowledge that nobody else has.
Yeah.
So next on the list, we got a major grid down scenarios. We're talking not just somebody hit a light pole and it blew out 400 houses or a subdivision. We're talking widespread power outages, something to deal with like a major cyber attack on our infrastructure, EMP, solar flares, or, a big attack, a big terrorist attack on the grid. So large areas are going to have prolonged power outages. And a lot of people think, okay, we just don't have electricity at our house. But the thing is, electricity affects everything else. That's going to affect your water, your sewer. If you're on sewer, it's going to just affect all kinds of stuff, your communications, transportation. If there's none of that, that's going to lead to major chaos in the bigger cities. People are going to be fleeing out of the cities. There's going to be rioting, looting. I mean, you see this anytime that the power goes out in these big cities or something. The first thing that happens is people are looting all the stores. I mean, they're running in and grabbing their Nikes and grabbing their TVs, and it's like, you ain't got no power, but you're grabbing a TV. That makes sense right there. So, and you're going to get lack of basic services, your medical, your law enforcement, stuff like that. They're not going to be able to communicate. They're not going to be able to respond to stuff like that. That's going to be, if you get an EMP, it's going to kill a lot of the power in a lot of the country. That's going to be anywhere from a midterm to a lifelong effect that you're going to have. Because, most of these transformers and stuff like that are not made here, and it's years waiting list to get some of these big transformers. So it's not like you're going to call up the electric supply company and be like, hey, we need a new transformer. We're going to come pick it up, put it on my tab. It's like, okay, you can order it and pay for it, and in 3 years we'll get it. So that could be a lifelong thing right there.
But it doesn't even have to be like those examples that you said. It could be an ice storm.
Yes.
It's not. When I was 8 years old, there was a blizzard, the blizzard of 78. I remember there was snow that it covered the back of our house. We could walk up the snow drift onto our roof and slide down. My dad had to dig a tunnel to get out of the house. And that was in Indianapolis, and we didn't have power. The year that Randy and I moved to Kentucky, it was 94, and 2 weeks before we moved down here, they had a major ice storm in the whole state of Kentucky. You could drive up 65 and trees were cut in half where the ice just broke them off. Big trees. And the rural community, there was areas of rural community around here that didn't get power for 2 to 3 months because of what happened in that ice storm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the things that Jason's talking about, those are very real, things that could happen. But it's not just that. It could be a major ice storm, could take out, and when I remember when that happened in 94, or even the blizzard when I was a kid, there wasn't rioting and all of that craziness. Neighbors helped each other out. If somebody had a fireplace, you went over to their place, they built a fire, and everybody stayed warm in their house. It wasn't the craziness that you read about in books and all that kind of stuff. And it was neighbors helping neighbors and banding together and community and all of that kind of thing. But it doesn't even have to be like these things that seem like they would never happen. It could just be an ice storm that comes through.
Yeah.
I mean, what was it 2 years ago in Texas? Wasn't it 2 years ago? Like the northern part of Texas, they had an ice storm up there, and it was so bad that I mean, several people died in
Yeah.
Texas because they had no heat.
Yep. Oh yeah, I remember the nice storm of '94. We, our youth group from church and a bunch of people from church, we spent quite a bit of several days going and cleaning up people's yards and cutting trees just to where they could get in and out of the house and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I do remember doing all that, and it was a pretty nasty time.
Yeah.
So what do you got next, Shelly?
So, next on the list is war or terrorist attacks. So, like, conventional warfare, nuclear attacks, large scale terrorist incidents. What it would look like would be destruction of property and infrastructure, mass casualties, the displacement of people. Cities would become unsafe with military presence and occupation, fear, panic, confusion, all of those things. And if any of you all were alive in 2001, you remember when the terrorist attacks in New York and Washington D.C. and Pennsylvania, and um, we're still the people that were involved in that. Even so, what we're 23 years later, there's people that have health issues. The first responders that went in there and everything, they're having issues with cancer and sicknesses and stuff like that because of things that they breathed in or things that they were exposed to, helping with that. And that's 23 years later, it's still something that is very present in our minds and relevant today. But yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah,
and
and
remember it shut that whole thing. Remember it shut down travel. You couldn't fly in a plane anywhere. I don't remember how long that lasted. I want to say it was a couple weeks. You couldn't fly anywhere. It was a while. And you couldn't get across the border because that weekend after that happened, Randy was driving over the road then, and him and I went to Niagara Falls on a run that he had up there, and he wasn't allowed to take his semi across the Canadian border because travel was restricted. And then cell phones were down, which, it wasn't, cell phones weren't as prevalent as they are today back then. I mean, people had them, but not like they do now.
we're
But
still playing Snake on our Nokias then.
right, exactly. But even landlines were down. There was a lot of stress on the phone system and all of that kind of stuff. And that was a crazy time. It was, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot as far as with the terrorist attacks and stuff like that. What it could really look like. Uh, I mean, you might have martial law. You'll have people moving. If you've got an invading force or something like that, you're going to have people moving out. Uh, you'll have evacuations, widespread evacuations, people
Yeah,
moving out of different areas and stuff like that. There's going to be fear, panic, and all that kind of stuff going on. It's not going to be a good time. I mean, yes, the stuff on 9/11, directly affected everybody in the country, but it affected people in New York a heck of a lot more than it affected us in Kentucky. That's for sure.
right.
So, and it kind of depends on where it happens too.
Yeah.
So, that's as far as the term on that. What I kind of put down, you're looking a mid to a lifelong term. I mean, it could be depending. The midterm, yes, 9/11 shut travel down. It shut some of the communications down. It changed uh, a lot of the stuff in the short term. We couldn't fly, do stuff like that. But it also had long term effects.
Absolutely.
The Patriot Act. I mean, that was something they just grabbed a lot of our freedom right out from under us in the name of safety. Quote.
Isn't that when the Department of Homeland Security, isn't that when that was created?
No, I think Department of Home. I don't know. It's when a bunch of them merged, and I know they did the Patriot Act then,
Yeah.
to save us from ourselves, kind of crap. But
Yeah.
and then I mean lifelong stuff. If there's a major attack, that could be a life term. To shift everybody in the country, and everybody's living different after that.
Yeah.
So, and it really just depends. It could be mid to long term. Next on the list, we got technology failure, something like a major cyber attack, uh, failure, failure of the internet and systems that are dependent on the internet. You're talking about banking, stuff like that. We've had cyber attacks before, but they've been, kind of localized and not huge. There's cyber attacks all the time, and you'll hear about it. Like the cell phone stuff that we had happen several months ago. That was
Yeah.
that was a cyber attack, but they said it wasn't. So I mean, a lot of this stuff. Oh, so and so system went down, and they're just like, it's a problem internally. It's probably a cyber attack, in my opinion. They just don't want to call it a cyber attack. So some of the stuff like that, I mean, you could have a breakdown in communications, your financial markets. They can stop trading and stuff like that. Because I mean, all that stuff is technology based right there. Essential services that rely on technology. If you've got a major thing, like when we had a cell phone outages, 911 was down. So I mean, that's all based on technology. So you can't, if something goes wrong, you can't call 911 to get the police or the paramedics there. You're going to have a lot of confusion and chaos going on if people can't communicate. I mean, heck, if TikTok is down for an hour, people are raising Cain and they don't know what to do. I mean, and Lord help you, I've seen it when Facebook was down. People are like, "Oh my God, I don't know what to do." They just kind of stare at a blank screen, and they're like, "My Facebook doesn't work. I can't update that I had Panda Express for lunch. What do I need to do?" So, and then not to mention economic losses. They could come in and wipe out your bank account. Your ones and your zeros that you've been working your whole life for. They could just wipe all that stuff out. Right. That's a good reason. We need like a silver and gold sponsor. I could just go in and be like, all your ones and zeros have got wiped out, but you've got gold bars and gold silver in your bunker hidden in the back of your property that you can go jump in like Scrooge McDuck if you want to. So that get your cane and go jump in it and swim.
Right.
But that could be like a mid to long term, depending on what it is. If they really knock the grid out, that could be a real long term thing. The technology, to get that technology back, get everything working, or it might be a minor thing where the cell phones go out for half a day, and by that afternoon we can tell people that we've had Panda Express for lunch on Facebook.
Right.
So that, and we can still go get our Starbucks and watch Netflix.
Yep. So the last one on the list is nuclear and radiological disaster. And when Jason and I were talking about this before we got on here, I was sitting there thinking, out of everything on the list, that's not something that I recall. And he reminded me that 3 Mile Island, which, let's see, that was in Idaho, and that was 1979. That was a meltdown of a nuclear plant. And then I think Chernobyl, even though that's not in the United States, that happened in the 80s, I believe, in the Ukraine. So, and if you think, well, and what about Fukushima?
Yeah.
That happened like in the last 20 years, wasn't it? Wasn't it like in the 2000s that happened from that earthquake in Japan?
It was earlier. It's been closer than that.
And they're finding sea life that's been messed up from that, and that whole current that comes around and brings that over to our coast. They're finding radiation on the West Coast from that, and that's still a problem over there. So even if it's on some other part of the world, if you think that it's not affecting you, you're wrong. But so that can be like a nuclear plant meltdown, dirty bomb detonation, nuclear war. God forbid that ever happens. But you'd have immediate and widespread health risks from radiation exposure. You would have to evacuate large areas, long-term uninhabitability. I don't know what I'm trying to say. You can't inhabit it for a long time. So, as far as the duration of that, you're looking at a lot of years. That sometimes, let's see, Chernobyl, if it happened in the 80s and that place is still, like when they go in there, it's still off the charts with radiation.
Yeah.
So that's that's something that's going to take probably a few generations to combat that, or make that fixed. You have
I mean,
long-term environmental impacts from that kind of thing.
you're talking with Chernobyl, you're probably talking thousands of years before somebody could live there again.
Probably.
Because I don't know what the half life on some of that stuff is, but heck, like with Chernobyl, I watched some of the. There's a movie about Chernobyl,
Yeah, there's
and all.
documentaries and stuff.
Yeah, and I watched a little bit of that stuff, but that's major stuff. They and the Russians weren't going to say anything about it until the particles got picked up over in Europe, and some of the European people are saying, "Hey, we've got nuclear particles. What's kind of going on?" So that shows you how far that stuff can travel, and we really don't know all the effects of it. But the what were they called? The eradicators, I think, were with the Russian guys that were volunteering to clean that
Oh
up.
yeah.
Yeah, most of those guys came down with cancer,
Yeah.
real
I'm
quick
pretty
after that.
they've all died. Yeah.
Yeah. So that if you think, we're close to Oak Ridge, Tennessee.
Yeah.
So
Very close.
there's a big nuclear facility down there. If that place melted down, a huge big swath of the area is going to be uninhabitable for generations and thousands of years. So people are going to have to move out of there. It's going to get into the water. It's going to get into the air. So that is a long term to lifelong change right there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
going to affect you. So that's kind of all we've got on the list there. Uh, that's just some stuff to think about. What it's
The
really
thing
going to.
about the thing about this list is all of the things on this list can cause fear and uncertainty.
Yeah.
And if you are prepared, if you know how to grow your own food, if you have food put up and stocked up, and you have supplies that you need, and you have a way to heat your house that's not reliant on municipalities and all that kind of thing, it helps to get rid of that fear and uncertainty when you know that you can take care of your family. That's the biggest problem with all of these things, is the fear and uncertainty. Think about in 2020, it was all, everybody was terrified. Terrified that something was going to happen, terrified they were going to catch something, terrified that there wasn't going to be any toilet paper, whatever it was. But if you have your stuff, if you're ready, you don't have to worry about the fear and uncertainty, right?
Exactly. Uh, what what is our homestead tip of the day? Brought to you by Hickory Ridge Soap.
So, my homestead tip of the day is be sure that you keep some diatomaceous earth in your preps, in your stuff. Um, so the reason that I say that is because diatomaceous earth, you can make, if you have chickens, you can put diatomaceous earth in their food, and it helps get rid of parasites that they have in their body, because it's food grade. You can also put it in, like a tub for them to have a dirt bath, because chickens love dirt baths, and that's how they keep fleas and chicken lice and all that kind of stuff off of them. And the diatomaceous earth helps with that. But did you know that diatomaceous earth is also great for people?
Yep.
Did you know that? So it's a source of silica. It can help treat high levels of cholesterol. It can treat constipation. It can help improve the health of your skin, nails, teeth, bones, and hair. You can even brush your teeth with this stuff.
Bro.
You can also, it helps to boost your immune system, because it's loaded with minerals, so it can help to boost your immune system. So get you some diatomaceous earth. It can help with your farm animals. It can help with you. There's all kinds. Just Google it. There's all kinds of things that you can do with DE. So get you some.
You can also put it in your long term food storage, as far
Yep.
as in the rice and stuff like that. And if any critters do hatch in there, it's supposed to kill them. I don't know if
Yep.
it works or not, but people say that. I've never done it personally, but I've seen a lot of people do that.
There's people that say that DE will get rid of bed bugs.
Really.
I've never had bed bugs to have to get rid of, but I don't know.
I check the bed bug registry when I go out of town. I do. And I mean, I check that religiously, and I'm like, nope, I'm not staying there. So,
Right.
all right, festival stuff. What's new? We're counting down. We're what, less than 2 months
Gosh.
to go
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. We're getting, let's see, well, 2 months from today. Well, 26th and 27th. So 2 months
Yep.
from yesterday. we're getting we're getting all of our speakers lined up. I think we pretty much have everybody locked in, I think.
Yep.
We might have one or two surprises. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But we've got Chronically Healthy is going to be there talking about healthy living. We've got Byron Russell from Drone Defense. I'm really excited to see what he has to say. We've got Jeff Smith coming back. Um, and Jeff's going to be talking about, Jeff is actually going to be talking about uh, what do you do about fence riders? What do you do about those people in your family that are like, I don't know, and I don't know about y'all, but I've got people in my family that are like, I don't really want to get into that, but if something happens, I'm coming to your house.
Yep.
I'm like, well, if you don't want to get into that, I don't know what you're going to eat when you get here. But anyway, no,
Yep.
I don't know. It just, I guess it depends on the person. But um, Chuck Peoples is going to be doing talking about medical stuff. I can't remember exactly what his topic is. I'll let you know the next time we do this. Local prepper is going to be doing preparedness 1-on-1. Brian and Susan are going to be talking about radio communication. Um, Leslie's going to be there doing foraging, and she's going to have a booth set up this time that you can come make tinctures. Isn't that cool?
I
So
hope she's got
that's
enough
just a,
jars.
yeah, I hope so too. I think she's going to be prepared.
Yeah.
But usually she can only stay for a day, but she's going to be there for the whole weekend this time. So if you want to stop and have a conversation with her or get some ideas, get some tips and all that kind of stuff, she's also going to be selling. She's created a book of recipes for medical, like tinctures and stuff like that. And then also recipes for foraged food that you can eat. And she's going to be selling those. So you'll want to stop by and check her out.
Yeah.
That's
And
just
we
probably about I don't know. That's about half of our speakers, I guess.
Yeah, and we've got some awesome stuff for our raffle. We're gonna be selling raffle tickets. There's some pretty cool stuff. Some stuff I would like to win. One of them is Silencer Co. is giving a gift certificate for a suppressor. So I mean, you might be able to win a suppressor there. We've got Pale Blue Earth. If you hadn't seen Pale Blue Earth batteries, go look at them. They make AAA, AA, 9-volt C and D batteries that are all USB rechargeable. I think it's
Yeah.
a micro USB. Those things are awesome. We've got some of they call them their house conversion kit, which it's got all your major type of batteries in there. We've got some of those kits to give away. We've got Caliber Armor, which is one of our sponsors for the show. I forgot to mention them. If you go to caliberarmor.com and use our affiliate code Homestead10, you'll get 10% off your order from there. But Caliber Armor is based out of Louisville, Kentucky. They sent a set of plates. I've got a video that's going to be coming out on it soon, but they sent a set of steel plates and they sent a plate carrier. We're going to be raffling it off. Augustin Farms sent us some freeze-dried food buckets. What else? Oh, well, Yardbird. We're going to have another Yardbird chicken plucker to give away. And I know we've got some other stuff, and I'm trying to think. We've got some shotgun stocks. It's a Tactilode is the name of the company. They make shotgun stocks, aftermarket shotgun stocks that have a 5-round internal magazine in them, which I'm super excited about. I got those in the other day and was playing around with it. I was like, I might have to buy one of these.
One of the things that we haven't really talked about when we talk about the festival, the first 100 people that come through the door are going to get a swag bag this time. And we've got a bunch of sponsors that are sending us stuff for those swag bags. You're going to want one of those. So the first 100 people that come through the door on Saturday morning are going to get a swag bag. And it's really cool looking. It's like camo and it says KSL. The next time we do a show, I'll have one here. I'll show you what it looks like.
Yeah. And then also go ahead and get your tickets early. It helps us plan everything. Ticket prices are going to go up right now. They're $25 if you use the code email25. The tickets will go up soon, so go ahead and get your tickets. If you buy them at the door, they're going to be $35. And then also Saturday night, we have our charity dinner for Caleb House. You can buy tickets on our website. The tickets are $150 per person. It's going to be a prime rib dinner. It's going to be prime rib, salad, and a loaded potato
It's good.
bar.
It's so good.
And we will probably have some beer and some good bourbon. Since we're in Kentucky, we'll have to have some good bourbon. And but we're going to have a small little auction for that to raise some more money. But you'll get to meet, if you come to the charity dinner, all our speakers are going to be there, so you'll get to sit down with them, rub elbows with those guys, talk to them, and your money's going for a great cause to Caleb House.
Yep.
So that's it. We will see you next week, and we appreciate y'all listening.
This has been a good show. I've enjoyed talking about this. This has been good. So
it gets you thinking.
Yeah. God bless y'all and have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.